Ariza first met Fermina one afternoon when he was 18 years old. The telegraph operator asked him to deliver a telegram to a man named Lorenzo Daza. Daza was a rich man who immigrated to the town with his only daughter and sister because of cholera. His daughter was only 13 years old. His name was Fermina, and he went to a very expensive school. This beautiful girl with a pair of almond-shaped eyes is the girl of her dreams. Ariza changed completely. He became a solitary hunter, which is very vivid. What did he do every day? From 7 o'clock in the morning, he sat alone on a bench in the garden where it was not easy to be found. He peeked under the shade of the almond tree and pretended to read a book of poetry until he saw the unattainable girl passing by. The scene was very literary because the girl who read was loved. Then Ali pretended to read poetry here, but he actually saw the poetic girl in his mind. In his eyes, Fermina is the flower-crowned goddess. Well, this is the flower-crowned goddess, written in a poem by a blind singer in Colombia. It represents the girl who is the most noticed and loved by everyone. Ariza originally intended to write a brief message to express his love to Fermina, but as he poured his heart onto paper, the words flowed endlessly, detailing every thought and emotion he had kept hidden for so long. He couldn't help but continue writing until the note had turned into a full-blown love letter, spanning an unbelievable 60 pages. As he searched for the perfect way to deliver his confession to Fermina, he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with emotion and a sense of vulnerability. While waiting for Fermina's reply, he was so anxious that he spoke little, lost his appetite, tossed and turned, and couldn't sleep every night. What did Fermina think? A month passed, and the girl still hadn't replied. Ariza wasn't exactly the ideal person he would have picked. He wasn't affluent, and his appearance didn't match the conventional standards of attractiveness. His height was short, and his frame was thin. But what stood out the most were his old-fashioned glasses, and the way he constantly wore a robe that resembled that of a priest. But there was a mystery about it that aroused Fermina's irresistible curiosity. He had never thought that curiosity was also one of the disguises of love. You always secretly see who is thinking about him and caring about him. Hey, you should think about whether he is in your heart. When Fermina was hesitating again and again, he was surprised to find that the degree of his missing Ariza had exceeded his own wishes. He was actually very distressed when Ariza didn't show up. He kept thinking about when he would come and how he should reply. Max wrote that they did not speak to each other face-to-face for the next year, but in the first 3 months, they wrote to each other every day, and for a period of time they even wrote twice a day. Ariza was obviously very hard-working. He wrote letters every night regardless of his physical condition. He did many crazy things for Fermina. So I am so happy. Happiness is like this. The more you share, the more the letter will be read. I don't know if it's because of my age, but I like reading stories like this more and more. This is a story about 2 young people who fall in love, and the flames of love burn brightly. You see, love makes a person impulsive, passionate, and willing to make crazy changes. When this frenzy of passion and communication was about to reach 2 years, Ariza formally proposed to Fermina in a letter. Did Fermina agree? In the year when Ariza fell in love with Fermina at first sight, Ariza was a humble telegraph operator, and Fermina was the only daughter of a wealthy family. They had hardly seen each other in the 2 years they had been communicating. Fermina was taken aback upon receiving the proposal, not because of the socio-economic status of the proposer, but because she had always considered the exchange of love letters as a playful means of courtship. To her, the letters were a way to express her sentiments, have some fun, and keep a relationship light-hearted. The idea of marriage was a serious commitment that she had not contemplated, and the sudden proposal caught her off guard. The responsibilities of marriage were beyond the capacity of Fermina's age. Yes, he was only 13, and he asked for some time to think about it, first a month, then another month, and then another month. 4 months passed, and Fermina still didn't respond. This time he received white camellia again. Unlike the previous times, This time the envelope contained not only camellias, but also an ultimatum. "It's now or never," Ariza said. "This is simply a threat." He seemed to be saying, "I will die to show you." So love and cholera can both kill people. Ariza did feel the face of death. He was too nervous. That afternoon he received an envelope. He was so scared that he didn't dare to open it. Inside was a slip of paper torn from the edge of a school exercise book, with a single line of answers written in pencil. "Okay, I agree to marry you as long as you promise not to force me to eat eggplant." This is a great writer. He makes everyone say things that are appropriate to their status and age. This is typical of Fermina, and the thing he hates the most, the thing he fears the most, is eating eggplant. There is a sentence in the book that says, "No matter at any time or place, love is love, and the closer to death, the deeper the love." I think maybe it's because I'm getting older. I like love in the time of cholera more and more, even more than 100 years of solitude. Well, even after reading so many novels, this book still expands my understanding of love. If you start talking about this book, or you start reading this book, the first sentence must be read in this version. The first sentence of the version translated by Yang Ling says that it is inevitable. The smell of bitter almonds always reminds him of the fate after his love is blocked. It's very interesting that this great novel begins with a smell.